Hi everyone, it's Leslie from Lola Bell. In today's video we're going to be creating this heart-shaped pendant using square copper wire. So if you want to see how this one comes to life, stick around and let's create. So we're going to be wrapping a heart-shaped stone today. So we've got this Crazy Lace Agate that we're going to be wrapping. We're going to do a big heart detail in the bail with some swirls and things. So if you want to see obviously how this comes together, then stick around and we can make it together. So we are going to be using 4 bits of square copper. Just need to straighten them out a little bit. There's a few little kinks in these which I want to just try and ease out. So we're going to wrap and connect these 4 base wires together with some half round. So I'm going to use this 0.4mm half round from Rio Grande. Do not need masses of this for the bottom, so I'm just going to cut off maybe 6 or 7 inches just to connect the 4 base wires. So nice and simple start to the pendant. So we're just going to hold the 4 wires and just basically bring these 4 together with some nice tidy easy half round wraps. So once we've got so many done, I'm just going to give it a bit of a smush, just make sure it all stays nice and tidy, keeps it all nice and straight, and just helps us sort of build the base of the pendant. So I'm going to do, because it's quite a big heart, I'm going to do a few more. I'm just going to smush it all together, give it a bit of tidy, and then I'm just going to finish it off. So nice and simple, just trim off some of the excess, and voila. So connecting the wires is nice and easy. So we've got this nice flush straight connection at the bottom. What we want to do is make sure that our cut ends are on the inside. Grab hold with our flat nose pliers, shape the base into a point. So the point is obviously the bottom of the heart. So if we bring the heart in, it's going to sit in there. And what we can do is we can just tweak this, open it out a little bit, get it so it sits nice and flush with the bottom of the stone, and then just making sure it's as central as we can. We're just going to draw the wires up nice and gently up around that heart, making sure everything's nice and tidy. So we've got a little bit of a gap at the bottom, but that's good because it gives us somewhere to play with some negative space if we want to. Or we could put something in there, we could put a bead detail in there. So I always let these kind of shaped pendants evolve as I'm doing. So if you wanted to, obviously you could try and push it down into that shape more and then draw the sides up, get less of a space. So what we want to do is create a little shelf or a little ridge on the back of the pendant just to sit that stone on. Also makes it nice and secure. So we're just sitting the stone in. Now as we come up to the top, we are going to have some negative space at the top. So what we want to do is draw these wires in, and again try and keep it central. So we're working to the sort of line of the heart, and then we want to try and get that bail wire to start bending up in line with the heart, in line with that middle central point. Once we've got that, we can work to the other side a little bit. Take that up straight. Just make sure all of the wires are sitting where we want them. And then we can start to work on our bail. I'm just going to reposition my camera because it's oops, not drop my camera because I keep going off camera. So we've got that shape working in there. So to connect all of the wires together, start building that frame up. I'm just going to grab some more of that half round wire. Apologies if you can hear the fan in the background. The UK weather, the British weather, wonderful British weather, which is usually wet and cold, has decided that we are now part of Mediterranean, and it is about 33 or 34 degrees outside at the moment. That's centigrade, by the way, not Fahrenheit. So it's quite warm, which means that my workshop is probably not far off that as well. So I think it's about 29 degrees in here at the moment. It's quite warm. So my hands are a little bit slippery at the moment. So yeah, apologies if you can hear the fan blowing in the background. Right, so once we've got a few wires wrapped around those bail wires just to secure everything in place, we just want to give it a smush, make sure everything is connected, like so. So we've got a nice sort of flush point there. And then I'm just going to grab my chain nose pliers, and I'm just going to take that tail through the center and then just bring it up and around a few times just to basically tie it off. Make sure that it's not too loose and that no ends are going to suddenly start unraveling. We do not want unraveling. And there's a tiny bit of excess on that, so I'm just going to snip that off and then just smush that end down so it's going away from the back of the pendant, so it's going forwards rather than backwards. That just means that it's not going to essentially catch the skin of anyone who's wearing it. So whilst we're at this point, we can secure the stone. So I'm just going to basically bring a fingernail or a set of pliers in, just give that little kick forward on that front wire. Same on the other side, trying to get them even if I can. And just give that stone a little bit of security, so it's now not going to fall out or move. Okay, so with this one, we get into this point quite quick. We want to bring the front two wires forward, and then we take the next two wires forward. So we're actually going to build our bail with the back wires rather than the front. So we quite often do this where we build bail with the front two wires. But no, not this time. We're actually building with the back two. So I just angle them back a little bit and then just bring that half round. So it's sort of coming between the bail wires and then the decorative wires. And we just start to wrap our bail. Now you can do this as a more decorative bail, although because I've got quite a lot of decoration going on at the front, I'm actually going to keep the bail simple. But obviously it's up to you. You can do a more decorative bail. I'll put a link to a bail tutorial in the corner for you now if you want to go there and try that one. But yeah, so for this one I'm keeping it simple, just nice and straightforward. So when I'm doing this kind of bail, once I get roughly maybe just under halfway, I just give it a smush down, make sure everything's sitting nice and straight. Carry on for a bit, and I do the same again. And then we just keep on wrapping until we've got enough for our bail. Give that a bit of a smush down. So a lot of the pendants that I've been making, that I've been making on the channel recently are going to, I've got a big event in a few weeks' time. It's one of 4 that I do every year, a handmade and vintage fair, which is always really great show. I really enjoy doing it. So a lot of these pendants will be appearing there. So if you are local, if you are in the sort of Milton Keynes, Northampton, Bedford sort of area, pop on down to the MK Handmade and Vintage in the, what is it, the 6th and 7th of June at the Centre MK, and you'll be able to see all of these in person. Okay, so once we've got enough on that bail wrap, we're just going to smush everything down, right down to the bottom, make sure that everything is nice and flush, and then we're going to tilt it forwards. Okay, so everything's coming towards the front of the pendant. I'm going to grab our bail making pliers and just grip hold roughly where you want the top of the bail to be, and then just pull it around. I don't know why I've got such bad lighting today. My spotlight is on, my lamp is on, everything is on. Yeah, the lighting just doesn't want to play ball today. Okay, so once we've got to this point, what I tend to do is grab these back 2 wires and just give them a tiny bit of a kick out. That just means that they can sit on that back section nice and tight. And then I'm just going to pull that half round around the neck of the bail. And then from there, I'm going to lift these 2 back wires. I'm going to trim some of that excess off. I'll save that for a moment's time because I'll need it. So then what we're going to do is just curve this wire underneath, draw it up to the top. We're going to do maybe 3 wraps here, like so. And then we'll just trim off that excess. And again, I'm just going to keep that here for a minute because I might be able to utilize that. And then I just smush everything in, make sure it's all nice and straight. Beautiful, beautiful. And these 2 wires, I'm just going to simply draw them around to the front, hook them over, trim them off, and then just pull that end wire in so it sits nice and flush. Same on the other side, and just trim it, and then tuck that wire in nice and tight and high, like so. Just check that there's no sharp edges at the back, which there isn't, which is great. And then with these wires, I'm just going to stand them all up, get them all in order, and then we can start to look at some decoration. So what I'm going to start with is on this back wire. So if you look from the side on this back wire, I'm going to turn it into a big hoop, and it's going to come across the front of the pendant, and it's just going to sort of meet up where the stone meets that frame, at which point I'm going to grip my thumb in there and I'm going to give it a good old swirl. Now if you're not sure how to do swirls, I will pop a link above for you to copy. And then what I want is I want this curve to sit against this frame wire. So again, I'm going to bring my thumb in there, hold it, and then draw it up a little bit. So it's just coming up and across. And then from there, I'm going to draw it back in. So my thumb has moved down the wire, and I'm just starting to draw it around. Now, I've got a little bit too much wire here, so I'm just going to trim that off. And then That's probably still a little bit too much actually, so I'm just going to trim a bit more off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my chain nose pliers, grab the end, try and get some light on this, grab the end and just start working that into a curve. Now, I want this curve to just work its way in and then tighten up. So I'm just going to tease it in gradually. Oops. And build it down. So then that's going to sit right there. This is where a little bit of half round wire that I cut off earlier comes in handy. So I'm actually just going to bring that in, hold it, bring that in under those two wires, and then swoop it back down. Oops. Try not to let it unthread itself. Being a bit cack-handed here. So it's just going to hold it there. Try not to hold too many things with one thumb. So it's going to come through and under. I'm just going to use my chain nose pliers so I'm not fumbling. I'm just going to squish that down so it sits flush. And I'm just going to wrap around here a few times. Just to lock in how that's going to sit. So do a few more wraps here. Go. I've got 3, so I'm going to go for 2 more. I don't know why, but when I do these kind of wraps, I always think that an uneven number looks better. I don't know why. So we've got 5 full wraps. I'm going to just grab this end and loosen it off and pull it forwards, like so. Because what I want to do is I want to tease that now in between, so it's coming up between the frame and there, and draw that in. Try not to move it all like I just did. Easy rescue, thank goodness. And then we're just going to do a couple more wraps, so just do maybe 2 around just that frame wire, like so. I'll go 1 more. And oops, draw that up. And then we'll basically trim off the end of that tail. Giving that a little bit of a smush. And then this is going to just sit there, that's it. And then with this tail, we're just going to do the same on the bottom. So just come around and we do 2 wraps on the bottom there. Again, this just helps to stop things unraveling and looking untidy. So just cut that excess off. And then what we can try and do is just get in there underneath those wires, give everything a bit of a smush. It holds it all nice and in place. So that's the first of the decorative wires. So then what we're going to do is we're going to come across with these other 2 on the same side. So I'm actually going to move these independently, but then they're going to come back together I don't think zooming in is going to help because I'm probably going to go off camera, but we'll try. So what we want to do is one slightly larger hoop, which is going to come across in front of this one, and then another which is going to come under and inside. So then they're going to meet back up. So what you've got is kind of 3 different shaped hoops there. These are then going to work their way up into a swirl just in front of the base of that bale. So using the thumb, we're just going to keep working that wire, bringing it round, creating a swirl like so. And then these 2 are just going to hook around, press them over the back, and all we're going to do is just give them a little trim and then hook those over the frame like so, keeping them together. Oops, I'm off camera. Keeping them together, just hooking them in, giving them a squish so they connect onto the frame here. And there we have 3 of the decorative wires. So quite a bit of swirling going on. So then on this side it's a little bit simpler, but what we're going to do is just we've got the front wire and the middle wire, and then the back wire we just want to keep it up and out of the way for a second. So these 2 again, we're going to bring them into a hoop, and they're going to swoop down underneath that swirl. Just get that shape right. And then this one's going to do the same, slightly different angle, and then they come back together. And then again, these 2, exactly the same thing. We're just going to hook it around, bend it to the back, snip off, and then hook these into the frame one by one. So we go, there's number 1 and there's number 2. Just make sure they're nice and tight and they're catching on the frame, and then you can just come back to the front and check whether or not there's any sharp edges showing up here. If there is, you can kind of manipulate things a little bit, reshape things so they're a bit more hidden. Okay, so then this last wire, we're going to go a little bit different. We're going to come up around into a big hoop at the top, and we're going to come around the swirl in front of the big swoops here. So we've got like a little bit of a wavy line, and then we're going to grab hold with our thumb, bring that swirl. Again, I will put the swirl tutorial up in the top corner, and it comes all the way around, and then just going to level that up, pull it back up a bit more so it's coming back up towards itself, and then the same thing, we just draw that around, we snip the excess, and then we draw. It's a bit too much there still, so I'm just going to snip a little bit more off. So then we grab the end, we draw it in on itself, and then we give it a swoosh, and there you have a heart-shaped pendant. So you can tinker and tease and move things to wherever you want them, but we've got like a nice sort of swirly detail. We've got some heart shapes in the wire, which is quite nice. I just want to pull that down a little bit, so I'm just going to try and get in under there. That's it. There we go. So it just sits a little bit flatter. And then we've got this sort of wave that comes down around. We've got swirls. There's lots of things going on in there. Like I say, I'll pop the swirl link up in the corner. So yeah, there you go. Another piece. Obviously, if you want to try making anything with a heart shape, then this is one that you can give it a go. Let me know in the comments how you get on if you do give this one a try. This one would look really nice oxidized. It would really make the colours in the Crazy Lace pop, which would be really nice. But yeah, there you go, another piece. So let me know how you get on, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care.